Welcome to @Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you, watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Let's get a refresh on the top Arizona news of the week.
As temperatures rise, so does the number of dogs and cats in Maricopa County animal shelters. Judson Tomaiko visited Maricopa County Animal Care and Control to see how they're trying to adopt out more pets.
Summer is the busy season for both shelters ran by Maricopa County Animal Care and Control. But this year, with more than 750 dogs already in their care, the busy season is coming early. Annual reports show the shelters took in over 57,000 dogs in 2009, a number they were able to drop to around 36,000 by 2015, thanks to what they say is increased spade and neutering efforts. However, volunteers say they still need help.
We're the only open intake shelter in the valley, so we can never turn away a dog, no matter how full we are. Our doors are always open.
After limiting euthanasias to only animals with severe health or social problems, adoption is the top priority for the shelter. For the months of March, Animal Care and Control reduced their adoption fees on adult dogs to $20, and adult cats have no fee. Animal lovers like Sharonda Askew couldn't resist taking advantage to adopt a new fur baby.
I love it here. I think they do a great job. I hope they just keep doing what they're doing and keep putting these dogs in places where people like me can come and get a good dog.
The people who work at the shelter believe for every dog adopted, 2 lives are rescued. The one that was adopted and the one that now has room to take its place in the shelter.
Anybody who sees this, please come down, and even if you don't adopt a dog, just asking to get them out for meet and greet gets them out of their kennel and gets their exposure to people.
Playing with the animals, no leash attached, is welcome. In Phoenix, Judson Tomaiko, Cronkite News.
While the fees for dogs and cats are reduced, puppies and kittens under 6 months old are still their regular price. It's the most common spoken language in the world, and right here in the Valley, students can start learning it in kindergarten. Cronkite News reporter McKenna Dalgarno went to Tarwater Elementary School, where students are learning Mandarin.
There are 14 schools here in the Valley that offer Chinese language immersion programs. Tarwater Elementary School in Chandler is one of them. Students participating in the program spend half the day learning in English and the other half in Mandarin.
It makes them special and different, so they are passionate to learn this language.
Lisa Ye is a second grade Mandarin teacher at Tarwater. She says there are many reasons why students choose to learn the language.
They love Chinese culture, and also one day they want to go to China.
The development of these Chinese immersion programs was part of ASU's Confucius Institute.
We think that it's important for students to learn Chinese because it gives them a broader perspective on the world. I think it makes them better critical thinkers.
Director of the Institute, Robert Joe Cutter, says learning dual languages at a young age can have long-term effects.
Over the years, studies have shown that people who study other languages do better across the boards in school in their other subjects.
Ye says that children catch on quite easy to the language.
At the beginning, maybe they just learn some words, and now they already could make sentence.
中文好办.
中文好办. Is that right?
Yeah.
High five. Tarwater offers the program to students in kindergarten, first, and second grade. In Chandler, McKenna Dalgarno, Cronkite News.
To see a full list of schools that offer Mandarin immersion programs, go to confuciusinstitute.asu.edu.
President Trump's budget plan also includes a down payment on the border wall. The federal government has lawyers lined up to acquire the private land they will need. While most border land in Arizona is federal, that's not the case in much of the Southwest, including in Brownsville, Texas, where a border wall would likely cut through a popular retirement community.
Meander along the Rio Grande in Brownsville, Texas, and you'll come upon Riverbend Resort and Golf Club, a big hit among Texas snowbirds who flock to the Gulf Coast to live and golf near the river.
I love living here.
But to make President Trump's border wall a reality would likely mean cutting right through the property, a possibility that has put a halt to the company's plans for a 117-acre expansion.
We're not sure about if it's going to be built. If it is built, what is the access like? What does it look like?
And so all of those things are really an assumption at this point. And so we've had to hold off on some of these real estate ventures.
While the changing curves of the Rio Grande serve as a natural border, it cannot support a concrete wall, which has prevented a barrier through River Bend in the past.
A border wall already exists in this part of Brownsville, but it ends at the edge of this property. Residents fear the new wall would continue and extend along this levee, bisecting the golf resort, and 70% of the property would end up south of the border.
That's 200 homes and 15 golf holes, which would end up trapped between the wall and the river.
And that term no man's land really rings true to a lot of the people in this area.
I think it would be travesty because this is one of the best RV parks in the whole Rio Grande Valley, and I think it would be a shame to destroy it with putting a wall through it.
A new wall would also force the federal government to acquire the privately owned land, an expensive hurdle some say may not be the best solution.
Sure, I'm sure it'll help, it'll assist, but I think the sheriff is most looking at trying to get additional funding from the federal government so that we can hire additional officers to patrol the border.
The better solution is sit down and have a conversation and have a compromise. I mean, it's the same solution that you have for any relationship.
But so far, conversation and compromise have been hard to come by with the new administration. So for now, golfers play another round until the future of this course is revealed.
Run now. Where'd you end up?
The owners of River Bend Resort and Golf Club have not been contacted by President Trump or the federal government. So for now, they're continuing business as usual.
Former Arizona Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords was in Phoenix today advocating for stronger gun control. Reporter Megan Finnerty takes us to the event at the Heard Museum.
Be bold, be courageous. The nation's counting on you.
Former Arizona Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and her husband Mark Kelly had a message for Arizona today.
Enough. We're here to say that it's time for our leaders to do more to address the gun violence crisis that's tearing communities apart and that makes our country and this state stand out in the worst of ways.
Their message was Arizona shouldn't be this deadly.
There are current laws here in Arizona and in most states. Felons, domestic abusers, and the dangerously mentally ill have the option of buying a gun without a background check. Why do we give them that option? That is just stupid.
The coalition is urging Arizona to enact what they call common sense, closing loopholes that allow criminals access to firearms. But Charles Heller from the Arizona Citizens Defense League said such loopholes don't exist.
Maybe there's a possibility that they're totally unaware of the laws that already exist making it illegal for domestic. It's been illegal since 1996 for a domestic abuser to possess a firearm.
According to data from the coalition, Arizona taxpayers pick up the tab of $1.9 billion of gun violence-related costs each year.
Wouldn't it be a great thing if we could take that $1.9 billion and spend it on something that's positive, like education?
Former Tempe Mayor Neil Giuliano said that's the cost of fear.
Anytime there's gun violence or just violence in general, fear takes over a community. And our job as leaders is to do what we can to diminish fear. And so if that fear is related to gun violence, we should do something about gun violence.
Giffords and Kelly are the founders of Americans for Responsible Solutions, an organization already operating in other states. Now they say it's time to do work at home.
So we all care about Arizona, and we live here in Arizona. We love this state. And it should be safer.
In Phoenix, Megan Finnerty, Cronkite News.
Arizona is in dire need of foster homes, but if you're interested in opening up your home, the process isn't instant. Prospective parents have to make sure their house is safe enough to pass a rigorous state inspection. It's a process that changed in the past few years. Reporter Lily Altavina explains how the changes have affected families.
These are magnetic cabinet locks. They're pretty much a must-have for foster parents who are required to keep any possible hazardous substances and even vitamins under lock and key. Last year, foster homes were cited in life safety inspections more than 1,000 times for failing to safeguard hazards. And that's just one way the process can be held up. I examined the safety inspection process and found out how the state is trying to make it better.
Michelle and Scott Medved decided to become foster parents after tragedy struck.
5 years ago, we lost a daughter, and she died of SIDS at 10 weeks.
But before they could become foster parents, the Medveds needed to get licensed. The process includes passing a state life safety inspection, which meant buying the right kind of fire extinguisher, putting together a first aid kit, and more.
Some of the most important things are the medications, really making sure that, you know, we have children that need medication on a daily basis because of their special needs. So it's making sure that they're locked up.
The Arizona Department of Child Safety changed its rules for life safety inspections in January of 2016.
When the rules changed in January of last year, we started tracking as we noticed that some families were not passing the inspections.
Over 9 months last year, more than 57% of life safety inspections resulted in a deficiency. Now, DCS is working to improve its communication with foster families and licensing agencies so more families pass inspections the first time.
It's a big portion of being able to get licensed. The house has to pass the inspection, and there's just a ton of information that the family needs to know.
Jamie Lindsay helps families examine every part of their home for possible safety issues.
It is important. Kids that are in care, they haven't necessarily had the same upbringing and the same lifestyle that the foster families used to.
The Medveds say they have learned a lot from the process, important as their 2-year-old daughter Katie, who they adopted after fostering, becomes mobile.
There's things you don't think about when you're going through the licensing that you think, well, gosh, maybe just to have a child, you should have to go through this.
Some of the most common deficiencies in life safety inspections in 2016 were fire safety and evacuation plan related issues. And the Medveds say they practice their evacuation plan every month. In the broadcast center, Lily Altavina, Cronkite News.
The battle over this country's health care plan continues as Arizona residents took to the Capitol today to voice their opinions on the new act. Cronkite News reporter Z Zung spoke with a Gilbert resident who does not want to see Obamacare go away.
Steve Gomez joined Democratic leaders today in a plea to save Obamacare and the life of his 18-month-old son, Anthony.
Through all of this, as you can see, he remains one of the happiest babies I've ever encountered. He loves his older brother and is doing everything he can now because he's crawling to chase the dogs around, to chase his older brother around, chase us.
Anthony was diagnosed at birth with a rare heart condition known as TGA. Since then, he has gone through multiple surgeries, including a heart transplant and an amputation of his fingers and toes. Luckily, Gomez said the enormous hospital expenses have been mostly paid by his employer-provided health coverage.
Our hospital stay alone, just the room, not including surgeries, doctors, procedures, was in excess of $2.5 million over the 10 weeks we were there.
Obamacare prohibits health insurance companies from denying coverage based on pre-existing conditions, like Anthony's. The Republican-backed replacement keeps that popular feature, but the Congressional Budget Office says it would leave 24 million people without health insurance by 2026.
The only winners in this CBO report are health insurance executives and the wealthiest Americans, people who make over $250,000 a year. They get a huge tax break.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer didn't hesitate to point out the resistance coming from both sides of the aisle, and one quirky detail.
No one wants to claim this bill. If it's so good, why aren't they rushing to have their names on it? Trump wants to call it Ryan Care. Ryan wants to call it Trump Care. It's classic Abbott and Costello. If it's so good, why don't they want their names on it?
In Washington, D.C., Z Zung, Cronkite News.
While Gomez was with Democrats pushing to save Obamacare, Phoenix resident Kim Sertich was at the White House to share her Obamacare horror story with President Donald Trump on Monday. Cronkite News reporter Tyler Finger caught up with her today.
The first time I got it, I tell you, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. My plan's been canceled.
Kim Sertich is a long way from her Phoenix home, but she's bringing her fight for better health care to Washington.
Well, thank you all for being here today.
Kim, along with several others, got to meet with President Donald Trump on Monday to share her struggle for health insurance.
When the president wanted to listen to my story, I thought, wow, okay, so now somebody's finally listening to my story.
That story is one of frustration at the difficulties she has had with Obamacare. In the last few years, she saw her coverage canceled 3 times, and with each notice, she expected the same thing.
as my cancellation notices came, my plans would get worse. It would be like I'd have a higher deductible, my co-pays would be higher, my premiums would be higher. And it just began getting frustrating.
And there are few options for her or the thousands of others in Arizona, where premiums have skyrocketed and insurance companies have pulled out, leaving most counties with only one insurance option.
I kind of feel like right now, under the current system, it's the individual market that's sort of kind of in the limbo land.
For Kim, it isn't political. It's about having something that can work for her and others.
I think the law it had some unintended consequences, and let's just make sure that the next law doesn't.
For now, Obamacare remains, but Republicans have vowed action on the American Health Care Act in the coming weeks. In Washington, Tyler Finger, Cronkite News.
The Trump administration has also proposed cutting federal funds to sanctuary cities, those that have gone on record saying they will not fully cooperate with federal immigration authorities. At the National League of Cities conference in Washington today, city leaders, including Tempe City Council member Joel Navarro, discussed how to respond. Cronkite News reporter Anthony Marroquin talked to the councilman about how his personal experiences has shaped his views.
Criminals need to be off the street, end of story, but we don't need to be taking families apart.
Amid national discussions on how to ramp up immigration laws, some city leaders are saying things have gone too far.
You can't have a community where some of your members don't feel comfortable reporting a crime. That doesn't help anyone.
Navarro, who also works as a Phoenix Fire Department division chief, says he's seen that fear in immigrant communities firsthand.
You get to hear some of the stories, especially trying to get people that really need emergency help, not wanting emergency help. And it's because of the fear of deportation and things like that.
According to Navarro, cities should instead focus on educating immigrant residents about what resources are available to them and how those resources work.
Really get them involved in understanding the government. Really get them involved to understand, where they can go and how they can, voice their message.
No one at the panel was pushing for the adoption of sanctuary cities, but they said that cities still have the responsibility to help all their residents.
This is just our time, and this is our time to be tested, and this is our time to get through these days and make it a country for all.
In Washington, Anthony Marroquin, Cronkite News.
Lake Havasu City is about 145 miles away from Phoenix on the Colorado River. It's a hot spot for spring breakers, but the city doesn't just expect revenues to stop at bar tabs, food, and hotels. Investigative reporter Megan Finnerty went out west to see how spring breakers affect their economy.
Tourism is our economy in Lake Havasu.
Tourists, snowbirds, and boaters come to Lake Havasu to see the London Bridge, take a tour, and soak up the sun. But when the college students show up, it's a sign.
In March is when we get our spring breakers, which is kind of the signal to us that winter has ended and our summer's on its way.
Hotels are preparing for the influx of spring breakers, having almost sold out of rooms for the entire month of March.
Typically, we're at about an 85% occupancy, and now that's counting weekends, which is not when the formal spring break period is. That is Monday through Wednesday, and they'll depart on Thursdays.
A seasonal tradition that ripples through the area economy. Spring breakers spend their money on hotels, rentals, and bar tabs, prompting employers to hire seasonal staff. People work overtime, make more money, and in turn spend their wages in the city. City data reveals the spring break month of March last year was the second highest month in terms of tax revenue from restaurants, bars, and entertainment. And since fiscal year 2009, total taxes collected has grown from about 14 million to almost 20.
Spring break specifically is more of a long range. Not only do folks come to Lake Havasu for spring break, maybe for a weekend, 3, 4, 5 days, or a week, they also create memories, and those memories generally turn into repeat visits.
But not all companies are benefiting from the breakers. Sunset Tours caters to an older, wealthier audience on board their 2 boats.
We get a few spring breakers on board, but a lot of people like to come here during spring break, quite frankly, to enjoy the action that the spring breakers bring. So it's a lot of fun. It's a fun time of the year. It's my favorite time of the year.
But this year they're hoping to target the younger demographic.
But this is the first year we're really looking into providing a service to the spring breakers. Up until this point, we haven't really focused a lot of attention on spring breakers, but it is a big market here for the next 4 weeks. So we are going to be putting together a spring break tour to Copper Canyon.
And the businesses are ready for the influx of students and their cash. In Lake Havasu, Megan Finnerty, Cronkite News.
Lake Havasu is a draw for students from California, Nevada, and of course, here in Arizona.
Millennials as young as 19 are getting Botox and cosmetic surgery. Plastic surgeons say that's putting their long-term beauty at risk. Reporter Morgan Wheeler explains the danger for millennials who want to look perfect.
Think about it, you're like, maybe a little more here or here.
When you think of individuals wanting Botox or cosmetic plastic surgery, you usually think of older adults wanting it done to make themselves look younger. But that's not the fastest growing group turning to the injections.
I like to say ouch for my patients.
29-year-old JD Peck says she's had 3 cosmetic surgeries and has been getting Botox since the age of 22.
Skincare industry, starts out slow when you get into aesthetics. You do the facials and the chemical peels, and it's kind of, what more is out there that I can do that can improve the way I look or improve the way I feel about myself.
American Society for Aesthetic Plastic Surgery reports Botox use amongst millennials ages 19 to 34 years old rose 41% between 2011 and 2015. The report found millennials wanting to look better for the perfect selfie and to prevent themselves from getting wrinkles in the future.
Back maybe 10 years ago, girls in their 20s would not be thinking about Botox or collagen fillers and those type of things. It'd be more of like 30 to 40 to 50 population. Certainly that has shrunk down as the social media craze has continued.
Getting Botox and cosmetic surgery comes with disadvantages as a millennial.
There's an addicting factor. Wouldn't go from A to Z immediately, but you go from A to B, B to C, C to D, and progressively get a little bit crazier in your demands.
I'm a fairly confident person, so the stuff I do for me. I don't venture into a lot of social media just because my friends know who I am, and that's good enough for me.
Dr. Pritchard says you should only get Botox and cosmetic surgery if it is necessary, not to make yourself look better in your next selfie. In Phoenix, Morgan Wheeler, Cronkite News.
Dr. Pritchard also says Botox and cosmetic surgery are not recommended for anyone under the age of 18.
Each year, about 1.7 million Americans suffer a brain injury. Farai Bennett takes a look into how Arizona officials are highlighting Brain Injury Awareness Month.
Celebrations are popping up in purple for Brain Injury Awareness Month. The Arizona Governor's Council and the Brain Injury Alliance are teaming up to showcase art created by those who were injured. The Alliance says it's therapeutic.
We're here to just show and exhibit what their unique gifts are, and to bring that and make people aware that even though you may be living with a brain injury, there's a lot of life out there.
One of the people who benefited from the purpose of this event was Michelle Dorsey, who found therapy in jewelry designing after being involved in a severe crash.
I have actually, since 2014, exceeded what I could do before the injury. But I know making jewelry helps my brain. It keeps me thinking.
Michelle wants to open an Etsy shop, and she hopes to help the Alliance raise awareness about hope for those living with brain injuries.
The world is at your feet if you just really keep trying on recovery and find what's good for you.
In Phoenix, Farai Bennett, Cronkite News.
I'm Scott Pelley, anchor and managing editor of the CBS Evening News. In our changing media landscape, it is crucial for journalism education to ensure a commitment to the truth, unbiased reporting, strong ethics, unwavering fairness, and above all else, accuracy. These are the hallmarks of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. It's a place where students can innovate and transform the news industry while always upholding the values of the school's namesake. The Cronkite School at ASU, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Now, here's an @Cronkite News Pick of the Week, a favorite from the Cronkite News staff.
Many things can distract a student from learning, even not having proper clothes to wear to school. But as Alexis Dukrath reports, Operation School Bell is driving out the insecurity for low-income families.
Children keep busy while they wait for their chance to try on new clothes.
It has some glasses and some eyes and a mustache.
Shoes and skirts in all different sizes make sure every child can find the right fit. Students receive 3 polo shirts, 2 bottoms, a sweatshirt, a pair of shoes, and a brand new book of their choice. And they have a unique place that has all of this in stock, courtesy of the Assistance League of Phoenix.
Years ago, we received a big grant from the Arizona Diamondbacks, and we were able to purchase a 40-foot former city bus. We converted it to a mobile dressing station, so we take Operation School Bell on the road.
Students from kindergarten through 8th grade wait for their chance to board the Delivering Dream Bus and receive their new outfits. Once aboard, the students wait here for their names to be called and try on their new clothes. The bus is equipped with 4 dressing rooms so students can find the best fit. And all of this means a lot to the students and parents they help.
Oh, it's amazing. They enjoy it so much. We're a Title I school, so it's a kind of a need for a lot of families. So it's just awesome.
I don't have much clothes, and when Miss Beth told me that we're gonna go today, I was so excited.
Now every student here can feel confident walking into the classroom and be ready to learn. In Phoenix, Alexis Dukrath, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News tracks your likes, tweets, and shares from all our social sites to bring you this news special. @Cronkite News, our weekly refresh. Join the conversation so you choose the news. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, and log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org for top Arizona stories anytime.